Hi everyone. So okay, let us continue the session with ggplot2 today. I think am I audible to you? And let me share my screen with you first. So I think my screen is visible to you all.
Yes.
Okay. So let us continue the session. So let me start some polar world graph. In the polar world graph, the pie chart and other polar graphs we produce here. The polar which doesn't have a one specific name, and we produce some that polar graphs. There is a data set diamonds in a ggplot2 package have one data set diamonds. So we take that data set first. So because we have not run the ggplot library, we have to import that library. ggplot2.
So do we have to import library again and again? Means each time when are going to work? Because I think in this coding you have done already, isn't it?
No, but today I have not run it. No?
Okay.
So I have to import it. Only install, we have to once only install, and whenever you require, you import it.
Okay, sir.
The once you import, the whole the day you could work on that up to you close this R. Next time you open the R, then
Uh-huh.
again you have to import it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So here we are using a diamond data set. So I have not given any name. So it is not in this way in the global environment. And I show you the structure of diamonds. So this is the structure of diamonds, and I explain you with question mark at diamonds. If you write, you will get the detail here. And, sorry. You see, we have in this data frame more than 50,000 round cut diamonds data we have. This data contain prices and other attributes almost 54,000 diamonds. Okay, the variables are as follows. If we see the actual number of diamonds, if we see the 53,940, and we have 10 variables. Okay, so first variable is price. Price in US dollar, and they have given us the range of price from where it starts and where it ends. Second variable is a carat. That is the weight of the diamond. I know we measure in carat. They have also given the range here. And then the cut. Cut is the quality of the cut, how the cut is performed during the process. So there are, it is a ordinal basically. Fair, good, very good, premium, and ideal. These are the cut. And then the color of the diamond. Here a D for best and the J for worst. Okay. So we have the, if we see, so D, E, F, G, H, J. So this is our best and this is our worst in between the other. So we have this thing. Then later on we have diamond color. Okay. So we have the diamond color. This we have explained D to F. And the clarity. Clarity, the measurement, how clear the diamond is. So if we see the I1 is the worst, SI2, SI1, VS2, VS1, VVS2, VVS1, and IF. So this is the worst to best we have. Okay, this is also ordinal. Ordinal means ordered factor, not the ordinal, ordered factor. And then there is X variable, length in millimeter, Y is the width in millimeter, and Z is the depth in millimeter of the diamond. And they have given another depth which they have calculated through the some formula. Formula they have mentioned here, and that depth is the total depth percentage. Basically, it is okay. So they have got in this way Z over this depth divided by mean XY, mean XY this, or we may say that 2 into ZX plus Y, and this way they have mentioned it. Okay, and the table is the top of a diamond. If you see some plane top, so that is the table worth width of top of diamond related to widest point. So these are all the variables we have 10, and we will perform some visualization here. And whenever you have to create a polar world or the pie chart like this, then there is a need to first create a bar plot. Then you could convert them in a polar world, coordinate polar. And that is very important. If you don't put this syntax, this, you don't add this geom underscore bar, it will not work. So I am taking ggplot diamonds as a data set. Aesthetic X, I am not taking anything. And fill with the clarity, you know that the clarity is, if you see, it is this one. These are the clarity. I1 worst and the IF best. I am filling by the clarity. And geom bar, then the geom polar. Theta is equal to Y. Y means what? As per the clarity frequency, how many are there in the which category they clear. As per that. Oh, this is our the palette, the scale fill breather, palette dark 2. So I just show you first the table. this we have clarity. Okay. And we are getting the degree of all. The degree of this we get, and we see that degree in the pie chart. So I just run it. I will show you later on. I will explain. So clarity I1 is this. Okay, it is the anti-clockwise. So if I show you the figure of that, so that is I1 is 741 only. So it has very small area of sector. Then SI2 is a 9194. If I calculate this angle 741, we get in this way. I just write here 741 divided by 53940, then multiplied by 360. So it is, I am getting 0.82 degree. Okay. And if I see this, so I will just write here 9194. No, I am getting something wrong. Not the 360. I have written the 60. Sorry. It is 360. 3 has not been printed.
Yeah.
61 degree. Okay, sorry. This is the 61. The previous one, if we see, the first one, because of this key is not working properly, so sometimes it does not type. It is for the same. So it is a 4.94 degree. They are about 5 degree, and this is our 61 degree. If you see it, it would be the more than 90 degree, I think, or no, 90 degree. I think it is near about. So if we calculate it, then it is the 13065. Okay.
So from where you get that 53940 figure? This is the total?
Yes, this is the total.
Okay. Total
Yeah.
observations. Okay.
So we get this degree. So I have taken X blank, fill by clarity. This is filling the degree theta I am taking by the clarity. Okay. So that I have taken the theta Y. Y is the count here. And as per the count, it has converted them in degree. What it?
Got it, sir.
So this is a, we have created one, and then I will show you another. Here also I am taking the same, but I have not written X here. In this, I have just mentioned the clarity and geom bar. Geom bar, you see, I have taken the geom bar here. And here also I am taking the aesthetic fill clarity. And the palette I have changed. Instead of dark 2, I am taking the accent, which are very light colors and very pretty colors in this palette. I try to run it. So what happens here? I have not taken that coordinate polar. This I have not taken. Okay. So that I just want to show you. First we create this, and then we create that our pie chart. So just I am adding here after this coordinate polar. Okay. If I add the coordinate polar, just a moment. I add here. And I run this. Sorry, I have taken the theta y. Oh, aesthetic I have to change first here. If I want the same one. Not. Then I will show you. Color has changed only. Okay. So I have done that. So I will clear it as it was earlier. Okay. So we could change here the ascent. We could write the ascent. We have the different palettes. You could search on the net palettes in ggplot2. And here I am making another one, different sort of polar world graph, which would be diamonds. Aesthetic, I am taking the clarity, and fill also with the clarity, the same. Here I have not taken the aesthetic in this one, but here I am taking the aesthetic X uh, as a clarity, and the fill also clarity. I want to fill with the clarity. This is not a Y basically, it is a filling. Okay. Geom bar, and the theta I am taking X instead of Y. The previously I have taken Y. Here I am taking X. And this is the palette. So you see, I will get some different sort of figure. Here you see the, because I have not taken the Y there. So angle is same. Angle of the sector is same. The radius are different. Got it? Because I have taken the X. So radius is different. As per the radius, we could understand. This is also a way to, it is the SI1 and this is our I1. This is our IF. And in this way, we could see it. Okay. So we are getting it. If you go here in this way and here if you go and you will see the side here in this way, tangent you will create here and you will see the side in this way. Palette, we have a different palettes. You could search here. And we have that palettes also. These are the palettes we could search. Know that I have taken this one. There are the various color with this color palettes and the R color brewer palettes. So if you click and you can see the dark 2 we have taken, and we have these all colors are there in that palette. Dark 2 we are getting this color. We could take the this one say 2, we could get PRGN. Okay, so we have our color brewer we are taking here. So you could see that various color palettes we could get on the net. Now, here the syntax is same up to here. I'm not taking the color palette. So it may give me the default color. Okay. Now what I am doing, I am going to create a stack polar graph. So the X I am taking the clarity. This would be the clarity. And here the stack would be like cut. Okay, so we have different cuts, you know that. And width I want 1. And everything is same. But I have written the in the field I have changed, instead of clarity I have put the cut. You will see. It's like a stacked bar graph. Have you seen that stacked bar graph? Like that is showing me the cut and the clarity, both are there. Okay. Got it? Now what I am doing, instead of X, I am taking theta Y now. Or see what it means. You will get this sort of graph. You see here, we are getting this. Okay, so you could count here. It is less than 2,500 and this. And here you see it is more than 2,000 or 2,500 and 5,000, whatever the count here it comes. Here you are getting near about 5,000. This VVS2. If I show you the VVS2, VVS2 5066. So we are also getting here that same 5066. It is little bit greater than that 5066. So here we could count it. What is the counting? We could see the counting as per this. So sometimes we produce this like this polar world graph. And here we also stack. In this graph we also stack with the cut. So we try to stack it. We are putting, instead of clarity here in the field, we put the cut only, and we see width I am taking 0.9. You could change the width whatever you require, and you see here we are getting this stack. So these are the polar world graph we could produce. And you have to do little bit practice and do some activity on that, change the values, and these all you may get so many things over there. Okay. So this was about our few. We have seen the how to create the graph there. And now I am going to explain you some density plot. Here I am making one data frame. Here is one column is V1 and the second is distribution. So we could say this is the V1, or we could say the value also. This I write instead of V1 the value. Okay, V1, okay, because I have again I have to change it. Now I'm taking two distribution. One is the normal distribution, second is the uniform distribution. Two sort of data are there in the one variable. 2000 observations I am taking from the R normal distribution. The default criteria for the R normal distribution is R norm. We have the criteria mean is 0 and SD is 1. Okay, this is the criteria of R norm. And if you see the criteria of R uniform distribution, So you will get this criteria. The minimum value is 0 and maximum is 1. So we get these 1000 values between 0 and 1. It means we get the positive values, non-negative values we will get here. And here we will get the both negative and the positive values. Does that make sense to everyone? It means some of the values will overlap to each other. Positive values will, because here 0 to, it is the 0 and the SD is 1. So I will show you that. I run it. And in the distribution, I am giving the repetition normal 2000 times. So it will show this is the normal distribution value. And repetition uniform 1000 times. So it will show me this is the uniform distribution value. So that I have created this another column. So if I show you the head of this, so you will see this is the normal distribution. We are getting the negative also and the positive also. Okay, this is the normal. If I show you the tail is the last 6 observations. So there is a uniform distribution in the last 1000. And here all the values are positive. Does that make sense to everyone? Yes. No, no doubt.
Sir, is my data is the data from your end?
My data. That object name is I have given it my data.
Yeah, you have fed the data, right?
I have created this data frame. Okay. Here. And this data frame I have created, and this is the 3000 observations. First 2000 is from the normal distribution, and later on 1000 is from the uniform distribution. Got it, sir?
Okay.
In the normal distribution, we get both value, negative and positive, because the mean and SD is there. Okay, mean is 0 and the SD is 1, so it will go both the side. And the R uniform distribution, the minimum value is 0 and the maximum is 1, so we get only the 0 and the positive values. Okay, non-negative values we will get here. So we are making few plot now. One, I am going to make a histogram for V1 only. And my data aesthetic V1. And I am making one histogram. So you will see this histogram. This is the V1. Here both the distribution 3000 observations are there. Okay, in this distribution we are getting. And I fill this with the distribution. This distribution is this dist. This is the categorical. Always we fill with the categorical. Look at this. So I will show you this and explain it. This is our uniform distribution. 1000 observations lies between here. You see, it is the 0 and 1 between. Okay. Between 0 and 1. And this is the normal distribution we are getting. 2000. Okay. And now I make a density plot instead of histogram. I make a density plot. So when I create a density plot, you will see what happens. This is my density graph. So density graph is like these are my R unit and this is my normal distribution. Okay. But I want some opacity there. So I could transparency I want here. So alpha 1 by 5, yeah, 0.02, 0.2, sorry, I am taking and I run it. So you will see it is the opacity I am getting here, 0.2. And you see, here we are getting this, and I want to include the histogram also in this. So I try to include this, and I'm taking the alpha 1 by 7. I also decrease that, and I include both. See what happens. Does it work or not? So here I am getting only the histogram. I'm not getting the density. Got it? I have written both. I have written both. But in this way, I could not get the both things. If I have to get, I have to change the code like this. In the histogram, I have to write this in this way. Then only I could create the both together. Look at this. There is a histogram as well as our density. But I suggest you only create the density or the histogram, whatever, the one only, not the both. You don't want to mix the both thing. Okay, don't try to mix it. So it would be better if you create that one only. Okay. In the uniform, you will see the histogram and this would be same about density and the histogram, because it is a uniform distribution. So normal, there will be a density would be in this way. You will see this density. Okay. And then I have put some more few this figure. Sometimes we create, this is useful, but this is useful whether it is normal or not. We want to see. So here I am taking the X1 geom density color rate. Okay. And the geom histogram aesthetic density alpha 0.5 and the state function d norm. So you will see this is my actual histogram, or this is the normal distribution should be like this.
कब ज्वाइन किए आप? मैं यहाँ ज्वाइन किया 1 अगस्त सन 2019.
Okay, so the graph should be like that. The histogram should be in this. If it is the 100% normal, if you want to create it, it all merge. Yeah, it all should be here under this green. So it would be a perfect normal distribution.
दिसंबर में.
Sir,
Yes.
okay, sir. Some noise was coming.
Yeah, I have meeting. So you see, what does it mean? I am making a density color rate on this, okay, on this graph. Density color rate, I have make my data aesthetic X1 geom density, and then the geom histogram aesthetic Y density in this way. We don't use in this way. This is the wrong way, but I have just explained what we have to write this thing. This I used here.
Sir, in this case, the distribution is not normal because the shape of original data
Yes.
is not normal.
Huh.
That
it is not a perfect normal. It is not a little bit. It is not a absolute normal. We could say that
it takes sharp peak.
Because because the V1, if you see in the V1, what happened? V1, there are two sort of data, no? 2000 we have the normal distribution.
Yeah.
And 1000 from the R unit.
Yes, sir.
So how it could be a normal?
Yes, sir. Okay,
between 0 and 1, there would be a higher values.
Yeah.
So it will overlap. We will get the values from normal distribution also, and we will get from the uniform distribution. So it is just shifting in this way. Between
Mixture
0
of
and
two.
1, there are so much frequency.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Understood.
Got it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Suppose if I create one V2, another R norm with 3000 observation. And here I put V2. And I run it. Now it's okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is the same, just same, because it is a probability distribution. So we will not get that exact one like green. And we
Yeah.
will get the red one. Okay, it is
Close
not
to
a absolute normal.
close to theoretical value.
Yeah. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So this is in this way we are getting. Somebody asked me this thing, so I have done this. So it is not in our course basically. So this was all about our this data visualization with ggplot2, and we may add the text also. Geom underscore test we could use for that, and how we use that test I explain you. Just a moment, I see here. Where is that R file? I have two file here, one for the control and one for the experimental group. So there are 30 observation, 360 variables, and there is also 30 observation, 360 variables. And if you see the variables, you see the respondent, the experimental age of the, and the pre-pregnancy month, and these sort of variables we are having. I will just let you know that how to create. So this histogram I am creating only with that R base. No, first histogram. The control group, the edge I have taken. XLab is the edge, the man is the title, and the color I am putting the brown. So you will see. So this I have got it. Okay. And for the experimental, I am also making the color. I am taking the Royal Blue 3. So this I am taking. And then I do some grouping activity of the data, which we learn in our next chapter. So I am grouped by the pre-pregnancy month and summarize the value, how many are there, and mutate them in percentage. And I am making one another column, which is a percent. So you see there is 61 or 360. So when I get it, I will get a new data set. This control pregnant month, new data set I will get, because when I group, the observations will reduce. It will be grouped. Observation would be grouped in one category, in the different categories. So there would be the size, instead of 360, the size would be different. If there are 5 groups, they will convert in the 5 observations only. The each group have a 1 observation type. So I am converting them. You see the 5 observations I am getting here, and the 3 variables. So 3 variables what I am getting. I will show you. This is the pregnancy month. These are the groups name, and the number of women are there out of 30, and their percentage I have given there. Now I will create some graph with. So this is the ggplot. I am taking this continuous pregnant month. That is the first variable I have shown you. I am taking it, and that is the my data frame name. Sorry, this I have taken. Okay, and here I am taking the geom underscore column aesthetic. That is the month, and why I am taking the percent and the fill royal blue, and the text I am giving. So first I show you how does it look like. Getting it? It's look present or not? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So we are getting the text here. And in this way, we could create this geom underscore test aesthetic. We have to take that column. This we have taken the geom underscore call. We have taken this. And y is a percent. We are putting here the percent. That the same thing we are putting here in the geom test. What we are putting here. And +2, what I am using, the +2 is height. If I write here +5, you see what happens. Okay, got it? You could write the 1 also, so it will just here. So I have taken the 2. 2 is looking good. It is the non-data. So it is not in aesthetic. It is in aesthetic, but with y. With percentage height, we are getting it. Okay. So then label. Label is the round percent. We have got the percentage in decimal places up to. So I have taken the round without decimal. Just the round of it. And this is the GG title. Title is this one. Okay. So I have written separately, not as a man. Xlab I have mentioned later on. Okay. So we could add on anything, whatever you want. So it is just like a layer in the one layer, a second layer. Similarly, I have done for the experimental group also. Look at this. So this I have taken for the experimental group. Okay. So in this way, we could text this. So I will share this syntax with some other data. Okay. I will share this syntax with you. So you could see it and you could use it in future whenever you require and your research work or whatever. Okay. So this we have covered, and later on we will cover in the inferential analysis part. In this second workshop, we have the inferential analysis also. That is the third chapter, where we'll see how to find out how to take the reliability test of the data, and then we see then we perform some test over there. T-test we are performing here, and T-test here also, and we are also making some histogram, and this whole thing is scoring it. We have scored it, so there are some function for the scoring and this all. So we will learn all about it, how to pre-process the data and how we could find out the inferential analysis. Okay. So this is we have the different, we have to work too much on analysis, not a small task. As you have seen, it is the script of more than, you see how many rows I have used here, how many functions I have used. It comes with a practice. If you do the practice and you search on the internet, sometime we stuck somewhere, then we search and we use our mind and we put some logic there. So we get this all things. Okay. So this is the script of near about more than 1000 rows. We have performed various tests, the correlation test, the t-test, so many things. Yes.
Sir, will you cover normality test?
Yeah, there are many various normality tests are there. So that would be in our inferential analysis, Shapiro test and the Anderson-Dowling test and QQ norm. So many things we have there. Lots of tests for the normality we have. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So we will cover these all in our that inferential analysis part. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
So here in the visualization, I think you are okay and you have to do the practice first little. Okay. So when you do the practice, then you get some skill in the visualization. Few visualizations are very good here. The colors and the everything we could choose here. That is very good. Now we have a next topic, which is a data preparation.
Sir, your screen is not visible.
Oh, I'm not showing you the screen at this present. I'm just showing.
Okay,
I'm just sharing later on, within 2 or 3 minutes after discussing the thing. Okay.
What is the best way to practice this code, sir? Is there any site or anything?
Yeah, because in the paid participants we provide some assignment also. So I will show you the assignment, which sort of assignment we are providing along with this. So,
Sir, we have received 2 videos of day 1 and day 2.
Yes.
But in addition, if we get the scripts that you have shown from day 1, that would be more beneficial for us.
No, I have shared the script also. You see there in the folders.
In the folders, I have got PPT only.
No, I will show you. I will show you that.
Okay, sir.
You see, it is the R2. Okay. I just share my screen so you could see it. Okay. Are you getting my screen now?
Yes, sir.
This is the R2 which I shared with you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here you see the day 1 and day 2 folder.
Yeah.
Okay. If you click on here, you will get this R script .r.
Okay.
This is the R script. This is the PDF. So it will be open only in the R script. So how you open it, I will explain you. Don't worry. Okay. Whenever you have to open the script, just otherwise you create a project as I explained you earlier in the first, if you have attended my R1. So there you could put in that folder all the scripts as I have kept here. I have changed the project, the client name, and then I put all the scripts here. So if I click here, I will get here. If you have the script somewhere else in your system, then you go to this open folder. You are getting here?
Yes, sir.
And just you select the script wherever you have. Okay?
Okay, sir.
And click on it and open it. You will get the script here.
Okay, sir. Okay,
then,
sir.
Yeah, then you could run it. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So we have shared the script also. In the third, you see we have data visualization script, what we have covered today and the yesterday. That is also there. The qplot script is also there. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And one more script I will share with you for the text, how we get the text on the graph as I shown you at present, but that is my client work. So I will give you some with some other data. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So there is a list of recording you could see here. The yesterday video and the today's video is to be uploaded here, but other videos links are there. And one more thing I was going to explain that we provide some assignments also. Okay, so you will get the assignment of the data visualization. Today we will give the assignment for the data visualization, that is this one. This is the assignment you will get. So use some file of assignment which I used to practice some univariate analysis. The census underscore income file we use here, and the most of the assignment we have used only the one file, one data set. And here we have to create this sort of graph. You have to create. Okay. And you have to write the code for obtaining this density curve. Okay, so these are the result you will get, and you have to write the code for this. For this, you have to write the code, how you will get this thing. And I have given that the correlation between two categorical variables. So use a stacked bar chart to find out the outcome of Y is affected by behaves different across variables race relationship. Your code should produce following plots. Okay. So
Okay, sir.
So these sort of assignments are given to you. Very few questions are there, not much more, but it will give you some confidence. This is the violin plot we are making. We are making the box plot. If you complete this, and we also provide the solution later on. Once you do it, and then we also provide the solution, so you could go through the solution also. So this is the solution for that. You see, this is the all syntax are there. Through run this syntax, we get this one. So first you have to do yourself. If you are unable to perform this, then you could take the help of this solution. And first you try to understand what we have taken, why we have taken it. Okay. So there are the solutions also for each graph, in each graph you are getting. So you may get a good practice over there. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes, we also provide the assignment solution. We also provide it. But not with this, and after 2 or 3 days we provide that assignment, put in that folder. Okay, on the same day if I put, you will use the assignment solution, then you won't work on the practice assignment. So first only open the practice assignment, try to solve it. If you get in the first few you will get some difficulty, later on it will be easy. In the upcoming topics, if you perform 1 and 2 assignment here now, the upcoming topics you get some confidence. In the first 2 assignment we get some problem because there is a different sort of work we have to do. That's the thing. Okay. So we have kept compulsory that R3 and R4 as a paid, because the R3 and R4 we perform some project also with assignment. First we give the assignment with the topic, and later on at the last we give 5 projects and with data sets. And you have to solve those projects so you get more confident.
Sir, we show only up to R3. We are informed, not R4, sir.
Yeah, there are R1, R2, R3, and R4. There are 4 parts.
Okay.
The whole course, if you see, it's not a very big cost. If you see,
Yes, sir.
If you see the R1, there is only 1000 we are charging the 6 days. And the R2, you know that we are charging only 2000 bucks rupees Indian currency. And the R3 and R4, 3,000 we are charging for the 10 days course.
Yes, sir.
So the overall course, you see the 6 and 3 is the 9,000. You are getting the whole knowledge and everything, the script and the videos and the assignment and the certificate.
Yes, sir.
So everything. But R1 and R2 we have kept free also. So the people will come and learn something. And in future, if you think that we should attend the R3 and R4 also, so they could join later on.
Okay.
So we have not done the whole course, the bulk course. You deposit the fee and you do it. Sometimes people decide we should do this course, and after doing few sessions, he lose his interest. No, sometimes, or sometimes people think that we are not getting the how the instructor is also the cause of that, the how the teacher is how is performing. So that's the thing. So we have partition it in a 4 part. So I will share this assignment today with you,
Okay, sir.
and you try to solve it, and then after 2 days we will put the solution also there, okay, in that folder, and you could get in the same folder we'll put the solution. So you'll go to the folder and find that solution also. So let me start our data preparation. Okay, we started today. Before any analysis, like the descriptive analysis, if you see in the descriptive analysis, you perform univariate, bivariate, and the multivariate analysis. And for that, we have to prepare our data for the analysis. We have to refine the data, then we could perform some sort of analysis. So there are missing values, there are outliers, there are some other things. Maybe we have to transform the data. So many things, activities we have to do before any sort of analysis. Even it may be the descriptive, it may be the inferential, it may be the predictive. So this data preparation, we see how we perform it. Okay. So first I would like to tell you, I have explained you how to set the working directory earlier in the previous session.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we just read one data here because it is in this folder I have, so I don't have to run the working directory. It is not required for me because I have this bank full file, I think, here in this folder already in this project, you see. So I will just read it directly, read.csv, bank dash full.csv file. I'm going to read it, and I'm giving an abbreviation allies to it, the BD, bank data. Always a small object name you use for the data set. So we have to write again and again. MD my data, MD I use for the my data, DF data frame, in this way, the small one. So I run it. You see, I am getting only one variable and 45,211 observation in this data. If I see it, you look at here, we are getting only this, and it is not it is messy data. So you see, there is a, instead of after one edge, you see there is a job and the marital state. After dot, there is a column. And here you see between two values, we are using the semicolon instead of comma. So we are getting in this way, CSV file. CSV means the comma separated variable, but it is by the semicolon. So we have to mention the separator, what separator has been used here. So I just write down the separator also when I read the file. If I show you the head of this, so we are getting the semicolon. So I am using the semicolon as a separator when I read the file again. I just put here comma and the separator. I have taken the another time because I am teaching you, I am showing something, but when you do yourself, just comma and separator you put. Okay. I have to write the code syntax again and again for the explanation purpose only. But you do in the same syntax. Don't write copy and paste and then write the separator. You just mention, add the attribute and you do it. So I do it. And now here you see we have 17 variables instead of 1. If I show you the data again, so look at this. Now it is a proper data. Getting it? Sometimes it happens. Not the always. Sometimes people has used some other separator instead of comma. They have used some other hyphen or the forward slash or the backward slash or anything. So we see and we could open that file in this way. So there is the age and there is a job, there is a marital status, education, default, yes, no, balance, housing, loan, contact, day, month, duration, campaign, previous, P outcome and why. So this is the bank data. We are not going in deep because I'm just showing some little thing about it. So I will show you the head of this. So head, you will get the top 6 observation of the data when you run the head. And on the console, it will print the top 6 observations. So you could get something. You could have some idea about the data. And if you use this V capital and IAW, so then you will get the whole data on a view format here. Okay. If I remove this and I use this view, either I could click here or I will get here, or I could write the command also. So you see, I'm getting it. The same process is both that. Same thing you will get over there. Whenever we get a data, we see the structure of the data. So I will see the structure BD. So in a structure, you see, we are getting here. First is the age. It is first you see from the start. So data frame, 45,211 observations, 17 variables. It is the heading here. And the first, this in the dollar, all the variable names, age, integer, class is integer, and this is the age. Job is a character. Marital state is a character. Education is character. Default is character. Balance is integer. Housing is character. Loan is character. Contact is character. Then day is integer. Then month is character. And duration is integer. Campaign is integer. P days is integer. Previous is integer. And the P outcome is character. And the Y is character. So this, the data class, we know that each variable. And we have one more option for the structure with the library dplyr, which we use for the data manipulation. And the same function, the structure providers, the glimpse also provide the same thing, but they are a little bit different in both. So you see, it is an integer, character, it is a justified way. Okay. So both are providing us the same information as structure is providing, same glimpse is providing. But I prefer the structure. Okay. In the few ways, the structure is better than glimpse. Okay. Suppose I have these all in the character. When we manipulate the data, all the categorical variable, the string variable having the strings, like in quotes, should be in a character form. Then you could manipulate the data. previously, before this version in our programming, when we read the file, so we get the structure in this way. Before this version, we get the factor instead of character. Now in this version, they have changed that algorithm, that default parameter. So whenever we have to read the file, at that moment we have to mention here the string as factor false. At present it is not compulsory now, because it is so when we write in this way, string as factor false, we get in the character form. Whatever the string as a factor in default, they convert in character, and then we could manipulate the data. Got it? Now, string is for what? String is whatever you are writing in a course is a string. And there is a difference between character and factor. Understand? In the character, there is also strings. In factor, there is also strings. In the factor, you get the label later on. Okay.
So character and factor, what's the difference?
There is a difference that if you have a labels, if you have a 5 labels, in the factor, you will get the labels. Here I will show you. You see the factor with 3 levels. So we have 3 levels, the diverse, married, and whatever the third one may be.
Single,
Okay.
whatever, yeah.
Single may be there. So first level is the diverse, second is the married, and third is a single. So this is the
Right.
1, 2, 3, it is mentioning here the level.
Right.
But in a character form, you see what happens. It is giving the same name.
In
It is
quote.
not giving us the label. Suppose if you remove one married, you have some observations having married, or that you have removed. So how many levels should be there now?
2.
True.
Two levels now out of 3.
Right.
But level will not change. Level always be 3. If you even omit one level out of that whole,
There
yes.
will be 0 or something. What they will consider, like if we remove married from here.
I will show you that thing with one example. You could understand better. I am making a vector. Sorry. With few names I write it. I write the name of the countries like India. USA. Nepal. And Japan. So this I have, or I am again repeating few names. I run it. I see whether there is. I run it. Expected error is somewhere in my comma is not there. Here is comma is not. One more. It's okay. And I will show you the X. You're getting this? X, and I see the class of this. Correct. I see the unique values in this. There are these unique values. India, USA, Pakistan, Nepal, and Japan. If I see the length of the unique values, five unique values I am getting here. If I ask about the level, it will not show me the level because it is not a factor. It is give me that. It is not a factor. It is a character. It is a vector. I convert with a new name. I'm giving it a new name, so we could bifurcate it as dot factor X. Now, if I ask the class for it, Y. What is the class?
Factor.
Factor is the class. Suppose if I remove one USA from X, okay? I remove this USA from X. And first I tell you more thing about, so labels if I ask here, Y. So I'm getting these labels. Okay, the 5 levels I have is the 5 unique values I have got. Okay, so if I see the length, okay, length could not find the length. Oh, T spelling, I have done the mistake in the spelling. I should have that. The 5 length is here also. I remove one. Right, look at this. USA is only one time. Now I run it and I see the unique values. How many unique values are there? You see there is 4 unique values now. Understand? If I see the what are the unique values, so these are the unique values. USA is not there. Okay. But if you see the Y as a factor and you remove that, instead of we could not remove the thing directly from that, we could change it. So Y at the which place it was, if I show you again, Y, if I run, this is my Y. On the second place there is a USA. So the second place I am writing something else instead of USA. I change it. I write the Nepal. Okay. Got it? Now I will show you the Y. What is there? There is the USA is there or not?
That's gone.
Not gone. Now we see levels. Levels in Y. How many levels?
How is it 5?
But you see, if you see the levels are only 3 or 4 levels we have, not 5.
Yeah, US is not there.
USA is not there. So we have only 4 levels.
But why it's showing so 5?
Level will not change. If you see, if I show you the levels, so it will show the USA also in the levels.
Okay.
Getting? It will show the USA is not there, but the level is there for USA.
Mhm. So what will happen if we remove USA instead of replacing it?
Instead of,
Instead of replacing with Nepal,
no, we could not remove the element in a vector. I have explained you earlier. We could substitute it. We could add the element.
okay.
We could make them NA.
So
Okay,
why
if
will
we sorry, go on.
go ahead.
So I'm saying if we write down NA, then again its level will be 5.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's
think-
the thing. What I am showing, going to show you that level will not change. So when you manipulate the data, no, first you get the data and then you manipulate it. And something is in a factor form and you remove some item, the level will not change.
Yeah.
So that is compulsory to convert all the string variables in a character form. Understand?
Right.
And whenever you require in the factor form, later on you convert in the factor form. So it will take the, as per the unique values, it will take the factor. As you know that here I have now four unique values in this. Okay. We have 4 unique values. So if I convert this in factor, I will get the 4 levels only.
Hmm.
Okay. You see here. Or you see there is a no US now. Got it?
Right. Thank
So
you.
that is the difference between factor and character. Okay.
Yeah.
When we do the modeling, the machine learning and this all, mostly we prefer in factor, because the factor we get the value 1, 2, 3 levels instead of Pakistan, Nepal, Japan. So while the processing, it takes less time. Understand?
Okay.
So
Understood.
we mostly use when we prepare some model, then we convert in factor. So it take less time and use less space in RAM also.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. So now you're all clear about the what is the difference between factor and character now.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay. Now let's continue with that. So the previously what happens, it comes in a form of factor when we read any file. So we have to add on these strings, this attribute, string as factor false. So whatever the factor, it comes in the factor form in default. So we make it false. So we get in a form of character. Got it? Then we get it in a form of character instead of factor. So now they have changed the algorithm. They have changed the algorithm. Not the algorithm, I could say that they have changed this attribute as a default. They have converted it as false already. Previously, it was default, it was true. Now it is false in default. If I show you the read.csv, so they have changed it. Okay, so it is in default, it is not mentioning here, but it is now string as factor is false. Previously, it was true in default. Okay, so now we don't have to write this thing. We already get that thing in a character form when we read it. I again run it and I will show you the glimpse. Why I prefer this structure instead of glimpse, I explain you. I again write that thing. String as factor true, I write here, and then I will show you. I am taking this as a factor. I will show you the glimpse first. You see glimpse, there is a, instead of character, there is a factor now. Getting it? Okay. Now I will show you the structure. Here also we are getting the factor. But here we are getting the levels also. Here we are not getting the levels. How many levels are there? Are you getting here? In the glimpse?
Right.
But in structure, we are getting the how many levels are there. So it gives us clear picture. Okay. More clear picture than glimpse. So I prefer the structure than glimpse. Understand? The difference is that the glimpse you will get the justify in the Microsoft Word page. You see, we justify our text. So here we getting the justified. Here we are getting the left align. That is the difference only. But that is not a big difference. This is more informative. We are getting the which one you are telling one is for no and yes for two. You are also getting that thing. So this is better. I think the structure is better than glimpse. One more thing. Difference. One more difference I explain you. I convert this in a numeric. Okay, this is the integer age. I convert this in numeric, and then I will show you. BD dollar age as dot numeric. BD dollar age. Now I will show you the glimpse. What I am getting here? Double. But if I run the structure, then see what I get instead of integer. What is the difference? Class is numeric. Here class is double. Double is not a R base class. The basic class in R, double is not a class of R. Double is the class of dplyr. Okay. The double and numeric both are the same thing. But if you see the glimpse, you will get the double there instead of numeric. If you see the structure, you will get the numeric there. It is a real number. It means it's a real number. Is there any doubt? Yes. No? Getting it? Both are same thing. Numeric and double, there is no difference. But in the dplyr, they have given different name to that class, but in our R, it is named. So this I explained you. And I will show you the table of job. Now there is a job column. We know that. I will show you here. There is a job. Job is a factor with this. So I just first I convert them. I read in the original form because I'm doing some manipulation. So it should be character. So if you see the glimpse or whatever, you will see it is a character now. And I will show you the job. The job you see, we have various categories. And there is an admin, blue collar, entrepreneur, housemate, and management and retired, self-employed, services, student, technician, unemployed, and unknown. Unknown means what does it mean by unknown? It should be NA. There is a missing data and somebody has typed their unknown. They have demanded the form from the respondent. They have given some form for filling. The respondent has filled the form and somewhere they have kept it blank. So the data entry person who was doing the data entry for those forms, whatever the blank he shown, he put their unknown. Got it? So it is not a data, it is a missing value, basically. So we should convert this unknown in a NA. Whatever the unknown we are getting in our data set, it should convert in NA. Otherwise, it would be a specific category in the data. It is a category. Unknown is a category at present. But when you convert this in NA, it would be a NA. It would be a missing value. It would not be a category. Is it clear to all? Yes. So what I will do, when I read the file, again I read the file. Read.csv, bank full. I do at the reading of the file, the thing, it would be better for me. If I do separately. Separately, I could also do that thing. But during the reading, if I do this all thing, if I adjust this thing, it would be better for me. It will be adjusted in the whole data. So na.strings, wherever the data entry operator has mentioned unknown, it should convert in na. And whatever the column, I have just shown you the one column only, the job. But I want to convert wherever in any column, if there is unknown, it should convert in na. Got it? So na.strings, what should be the na of na.string? The unknown category should convert in a na. If you write the housemaid here, so housemaid will convert in na instead of unknown. So it doesn't mean that you will always you get the unknown, then you write the na.strings. Somebody may write something else, not known. Somebody put the question mark. Anything would be for the na. So you have to judge it. It should be na or not. So if it is na, then during the reading, you again read the file with na.strings is equal to unknown I am using here. So I just show you. Now you see there are 288 in the job. I run it. And now I will see in the job how many NAs are there. There is a function is.na. If I run only this, so what I will get? I will get is.na will provide me a logical response. Na is null. Basically, you could say that not a number. It's a missing value. So is.na, if you run, then what it will show? It will respond as in a logical way, true and false. So there are so many observations, so I will not run it. So I will not print it here. So it will get very long space because there is, I think that how many observations you see the 45,211. So I just get the sum of that. How many NAs are there now? It should be 288 because we have converted 288 unknown in a NA. So the quantity should be same 288 in the job. So you see we have now 288 NA. What it? Okay. Any doubt? Now again, I show you that table of job. You see there is no NAs. There are the categories, but NA is not mentioning here now. But I want, it should mention the NA, how many NAs are there in the table itself. It is the table function I am using. So what I will do in the table function, I will do the use NA is equal to always. So in the table, you mention the NA also. You print the NA also. So it will print the NA now. So if I show you, you see it is the NA 288. It has printed. Previously, it has not printed. Now it is printing because I have just right there. Use NA is equal to always. This attribute I have added on this function. For the both, you could use it and the C combine. You could write in this way here. C. What it's? Vijay, have you got it? You could write in this way. Whenever more than one, you have to use a vector, combine vector. Okay. What happened? Correct. So this we have seen. And you could see what is the na.strings. You could double question mark. You would see it is the attributes. So whenever we want to know about the attributes, we have to put the 2 question mark. So if I run this, we see here. It is searching. And which function it is. You're getting here NS strings and you put on this and you see where we use it. Okay, so it will show you and you have to go there and you will see here also whatever. Okay. So is it clear to all? Okay. So this I have just started, but before that I would like to explain something with the PPT, with the help of PPT also. Data preparation. Data preparation, very first thing that you do and spend a lot of time on is on as a data analyst much before trying to build a predictive models using that data, or not only for the predictive models, also for the inference and the descriptive analysis. In essence, data preparation is all about processing data to get it ready for all kind of analysis. All industry data collection is mostly driven by the business process. Whatever the data the industry produce, it is as per their business process at front, not by the needs of the predictive models. Okay, so we have to prepare the data for our analysis. We have to select the feature selection. The so many things would be there required. These various processes at some or the other point become reason for introduction of errors here and there in the data. Okay, so that is very important. Be very careful when you process the data. Prepare the data preparation, do task, and you should be very careful, or it may create some, it may introduce some error in your data. Need to pre-process our data. Reason of pre-process our data, there can be many kind of reasons, not necessarily some errors for which we would need to pre-process our data and change it for before better. One is the missing data. Second is the potentially incorrect data, means the outliers. Okay. Need for changing form of the data, and row and columns, we could change it. And handling missing values and outliers. How to handle it? You will figure out that treatment of both missing values and the outliers. There is one conventional approach I explain you about the time series analysis, because the time series analysis is related to that chronological order with time, and we use for the forecasting only. No. There are two things. One thing is the prediction, second is the forecasting. So time series we use for the forecasting, we don't use for the prediction. We could predict some current values and the past value is missing. We could predict it through the linear regression, or we could fill that value. But in time series, we always forecast something in the future perspective. So suppose you have a data of, I give you some conventional, there are some other technique I will explain later on with the time series chapter. One conventional which I feel is better. You have a data for 1991, 92, 93, 94, and 95, 96, 97. In this way, you have 2020. Up to here, we have the data. And you have missing values here somewhere. Got it? So what you do, you make a time series model up to here. Okay. Then forecast it for this next period and get this value and fill this value. Then you again use it. Yes, Karma Tej, I've got it.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
This is the conventional approach which I prefer. There are some other techniques also. I will tell you later with the time series chapter predictive model, forecasting model when we do it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we will cover the imputation in this module. Correct. We will cover the how to impute these values. We will cover everything. So you will figure out that treatment of both missing values and the outliers can at times be very similar. Reason being, both kind of observations are basically not in a state to be used. The missing value, if there, you could not use that observation. If there is some outlier, you could not use it because of missing and misinformation. If something is missing, it will give, and something will provide us the misinformation. So we are unable to, we are not in a state to use it. Okay. So what we do with it? For the treatment of missing value, first we see. In the treatment of missing value, we remove the observation with missing values. Suppose we have a data like we have that data, bank data, and bank data we have 45,000 and something observations, or we have missing values only in 100 observations, or maybe in the 200 observations, or maybe in the 300 observations, which is a very small ratio of this. Got it? So if you remove those 100 observation out of 45,000 something observations, it will not affect your result. Am I right? It will not make a big impact on your result. Okay, it's a very small portion we are removing from the data. Got it? And in practice, we could use the up to 5% observation, not the 5%. 5% is the observation. Okay. If you have the total missing values is in less than 5% observation of the whole data, then if you want to remove, you could remove those observations. If you have 100 observations and 5 are the missing, you could remove it. So you will still get 95 observations and you could work on it. But if these values are too high, there are 20 missing values out of 100, then you have to impute something for NS. Is it clear? Okay. So imputing, we have two process of imputing. Imputing means the filling up that NS with measure of center tendency, mean mode median. If you have the numeric, you will use this too. If you have a categorical, you will use this. Got it? And the numeric, where we use mean and where we use median. If your data is normal, then you use median. If your data is skewed, you will use it. Got it? This is the one way. Second, imputing with business logic. I explain you this. Suppose we have a we have two variables, engine failure year and the engine failure run. Run means how many miles or the kilometer your car run so far when the engine failed. So it is a year when you purchase and after that. Okay. So after 5 years, engine failed of some car and it ran, it drive near about 10,000 kilometer, or we could say okay, I write here 18,000 kilometer. After 18,000 kilometer in 5 years, the engine failed. 7 years, it is 42,000 kilometer. Hypothetically, I am taking only 10 years, 65,000 kilometer. Okay. 4 years, 22,000 kilometer. In this way, I am getting it. And if I total it and find out the mean of this, just a moment. I calculate this, then I explain you. Because I have taken the example randomly, so I have to make it proper. So you could better understand it. 13,000, 65,000, and 22,000. Sorry. So, that's it. Suppose the engine failed after 1.5 years. Okay. Engine failed after 1.5 years. And you use mean value to fill here. This is our NA. And we have to fill here. You find out the mean, or we get the mean of this is 37,000. I just see what I have measured. 36,750. This is the mean value of this. So if I fill this 36,750, it is appropriate for, it is the appropriate value. If I fill this here, in a 1.5 year, the a car could run like this. No, it could not run like this. We assume that the person has used it for the personal use only, and it is not the professional use, all the cars. The professional use, it may be possible, it may be like that. Commercial use you are doing for that. So this measure of central tendency or mean I am feeling, it is not appropriate as per this. It should be 5 year or 6 year, then it is okay. Got it? Sometimes if you just measure the mean or fill this with this technique, it may be mislead you. It will mislead you. Then what we do, then we use the business logic. In the business logic, we see the corresponding variable also. But in data frame, but here we have taken only 2. But in real data set, we get so many variables, not only 2, we get the 21, 25, 45, maybe more than that, maybe 12. And there would be so many observations. Understand? And we are unable to manually do this sort of thing. Can we do? No. So we have to catch the pattern. Correspondingly pattern we have to catch for all columns, how the pattern is running. Got it? Okay. And as per that pattern, we use the business logic where we get the similarity and we see what is here. They have put as per this and 1.5 what it should be. Then they have to select that thing. Got it? Is it clear to all or not? Sometimes we have some library like mice. We run it and it gives us in default 5 options for all missing values, whatever you have. And you have to select one option. And there you have to also use your logic, which one is to be selected. You have to compare it. Then you could fill that particular column values. Got it? That is a package. But I use some conventional approach for filling these missing values. But here at this moment, you could not apply this because you are just studying the data preparation. When you learn the all machine learning algorithm, like the linear regression, logistic regression, decision tree, multinomial logistic regression, then you would be able to fill a perfect value here. Perfect in the sense, the very close to real. What I do basically, I remove these observations first. Wherever I have the missing values, I make suppose I have a data frame like DF. So I make one DF1 where there is no missing values. I remove all the missing values observation. So I have the remaining observations only. It doesn't have the missing values. Then I train a model if this is numeric output, I want for this. So I train the model with the linear regression algorithm. And I train this model and optimize this model. And after that, I put the input values of all the variables, because I don't have this one. I want this. This is my target variable. I put all variables and I get value for this. Does that make sense to everyone? Is it clear to all?
By production, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
So this process I prefer. It's a lengthy process, not a small one. You have to create the model. You are also going to train some model. And before, in the pre-processing, you are also training the model. But it will give the very near value. It will give the value which is very near to the real value, what should be there. Got it? It take long time. But every data analyst spend its 60 to 80% time of the project on this process. Most of the time we use. The remaining 40% we use for developing the model and the other things, and inferential and the other things. So I prefer that approach here. Got it? I don't believe on this package. Few people use it, mice. But there is, again, we have to select which one we have to choose. Okay, the sum value is suitable. Suppose we have 200 missing values. So first, some randomly some values are okay, which should be there, but some is not okay. Some is here in this. Some is here. So we have to select only one. So you select the one, then you will not get all the correct values. Got it? That's the problem with this software. So this software, I mean this package, mice. So today we cover it here. The time is over. Finish it here. Tomorrow we meet and we see further details about the data preparation part. We cover first the PPT. You remind me to explain the PPT first, and then we start our R. Okay. There are so many things I have to explain with the PPT. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So thanks everyone. Okay, I will explain you some good books, Subhasis, for this.
Thank you, sir.